Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to the Speak of the Devil's Untimed Down. I'm Brad Denny with 3TV.
Well, gobble gobble, some Devil fans. I'm Joe Healey with DevilsDigest.com.
Of course, the Untimed Down is our kind of weekly supplement to our main show, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And this might be the most important Untimed Down of all because this is right before the Territorial Cup battle, the duel in the desert, ASU versus Arizona. We certainly took a deep dive into this rivalry game on our main show, gave our in-depth preview. Our predictions, we'll revisit those a little bit later on, see if we stand by them. Joe, of course, the injuries have been such a key part in the narrative of the Sun Devils season, but no real surprises heading into this one. On the official injury report coming out earlier this week, Jordan Tyson was probable. Jalen Moss apparently got dinged up a little bit. He's also probable. The only other one of note is, of course, Rodney Bimage, suffering that stinger a couple weeks ago. He missed last week against Colorado, and he will unfortunately miss this week against Arizona, meaning that true freshman Joseph Smith is going to, again, kind of slide in that fourth cornerback role.
Yeah, so no huge surprises there. I think the big one, at least in my mind, was making sure that Jordan Tyson progressed and didn't regress last week or re-aggravate anything. Obviously, he was on a bit of a pitch count, still made plays out there at Colorado. So that's, solid news. So again, no surprises in this. This instance is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll dive into our three key players that we're going to identify. The Sun Devils that really need to have a big time game for the for ASU to keep possession of that coveted Territorial Cup for one more year. Joe, who's top of your list?
Going to start off with QB1. As we talked about on our main show, Arizona's defense has been really, really solid this year, and they force turnovers at a rate that only 5 teams in the country are better than them at. Jeff Sims under center. We know that he can be a playmaker. We've seen in 2 of the 3 most recent games that he started, turnovers can be an issue. And last week was probably the worst case of that, not just in the quantity, but the nature of the turnovers by him and some others. So Jeff Sims in conjunction with Marcus Arroyo. I almost wanted to list Arroyo as a key as well. I think those 2 in conjunction, the work that they do on Friday, that's going to be huge. Taking care of the ball is going to be the most important thing in this game. And for ASU offensively, you just want to have a sound approach. And obviously, Sims is going to be the one orchestrating that. Arizona's pass defense, very, very good, but their run defense is not nearly as good, especially by comparison. So then be intelligent with what you do, the plays that you call, take care of the ball. A lot's going to be on Jeff Sims in this game. I think he's either going to be the hero or something short of that. And if he can get a win in this one, man, I think he'll go down in Sun Devil lore for doing so.
You made a really good point on our main show this week that really I hadn't considered just the home versus road splits. Now it's kind of weird that 4 of his 5 starts so far have been on the road, but he played some pretty amazing, almost flawless football during that home start with 3 touchdowns, no picks the other week. So maybe there is something to that. We'll see on Friday. My first guy is going to be the guy that's going to be his number 1 target, wide receiver Jordan Tyson. Got his feet wet after a month away out of the lineup and made it a big time impact on that second drive with that 42-yard catch and had another 19-yarder a little bit later on. But of course, playing on a reduced snap count, he is looking like he's ready to go today. A little bit later on in this episode, in fact, you'll hear from his coach, Hines Ward, about how he's ramping up and getting back into that full game shape. And I think the Sun Devils are going to need him. We've talked at length about how good that secondary for U of A is, and it is an excellent secondary. They have the number 2 pass defense in the country in terms of opponent passer rating. But for as good as they are, no one in that secondary is as good as Jordan Tyson. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that ASU is going to win all those reps, but I think they have the best weapon, the best player that's going to be on the field on either side of the ball on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So I'd like to see, of course, Jeff Sims playing well, playing accurate, playing smart, but also getting a healthy number of touches to Jordan Tyson.
And second for me, Arizona's offense, they like to distribute the ball to a lot of players, both in the pass game and the run game. So if you're ASU, you need a defender that can cover the field, that can be intimidating, that can make people regret catching the ball or running the ball. And they got a guy named Ghost Rouser who does just that sort of thing. So I'm looking for Ghost to be a tone setter in this game, with the caveat, we know that when Ghost makes a big tackle, he likes to tell folks about it. There's nothing wrong with celebrating a little bit, But in a rivalry game where the emotions are at the highest possible level, especially in one that's going to be chippy and gritty and evenly matched like this, you just can't let penalties or any sort of poor decisions affect the game, whether it's a taunting penalty or a targeting or something like that. So I'm looking for Ghost Rouser to have a big day, to be a tone setter, but to stay on the side of discipline.
My number 2 guy is gonna be on that defensive line, Prince Dorba. I think Justin Watley has been ASU's best pass rusher over the last, about month or so. He's really starting to round in that form that, it seemed like every time during our fall camp episodes, like, just talking about, "Oh, Watley had 2 sacks today, 3 sacks today." Hasn't been present, over the first couple of months of the season, but over the last 4 games, he has really been on a tear. So I think he's gonna be good. What I would like to see is ASU have a second pass rushing option that really has been disruptive. And I think Prince Dorba is the guy primed to do that. Arizona's offensive line has been pretty decent over the year, but they have struggled in pass protection. They're near the bottom of the country in terms of sacks allowed. And Noah Fafita has been stepping up his game. He's a veteran quarterback, doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, just 1 pick over his last 5 games. But you get any quarterback uncomfortable, that chance for making a costly error or even a turnover goes up dramatically. And I think, we saw what Torba can do when he just decided to take over a game as he did against TCU. I'd like to see a similar effort on Friday afternoon.
The last for me, we have seen many, many Territorial Cup games won and lost for ASU with place kicking, whether that's made field goals, missed field goals, extra points. We've seen a bit of it all. You go back to the 80s, and punts were really involved there as well. So this rivalry series in our lifetimes, kickers have played a significant role. So I got to throw Jesus Gomez on the list there. Obviously, he's had a really, really good season, a multi-time Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week award recipient. He's won multiple games for ASU. Heck, I believe it was this past week on our show. May have been last week. If I had to list the team MVP at that point, it would have been Gomez for what he did. So entering this game, you figure these teams are going to be pretty evenly matched. So place kicking could be a factor there. Gomez has been absolutely clutch when needed. There just have been some lapses, many of which have not been his fault, bad snaps, blocks, things like that. But again, in a game like this, with the teams being as neck and neck as they are, you just feel like it could be a narrow score, even though I technically didn't predict it to be such. So the place kickers can really come into play. So it could be a game where one made or missed field goal could be the difference.
I'm going to stay on the special teams aspect of the game and go again 2 weeks in a row, weirdly enough, with punter Canyon Floyd. Punting, of course, has been an issue all season long, but the last couple of weeks, ever since that West Virginia game, when after a couple poor Matt McKenzie punts, Canyon Floyd came in and launched some missiles, and then had another strong game, averaging over 48 yards a boot against Colorado. If you listen to our main show, you know that I think this game's going to be a real tough, sloggy defensive battle, and field position will be at a premium. Having a punter that can flip the field, can pin the Wildcat offense back inside their 20, inside their 10, and make them go, 80, 90 yards on this very good Sun Devil defense. I think that increases the Sun Devils' chance of a win dramatically. So just looking for another big time effort from Canyon Floyd, whose quad thankfully seems to be getting right at the right time. Before we dive into our score revisions, Joe, of course, in staying with tune with this season, it's a time of expressing our thanks and what we're grateful for. So a couple of ASU themed things that we are really appreciative of. What's top on your list right now?
Well, you know what? First and foremost, obviously incredibly grateful and thankful for everybody who tunes in, listens to us each week, watches us each week, and for what we've been doing for, 15 seasons now. It's incredible, and the growth that we've had. We're just really, really grateful for everybody that supports everything that we do, Brad. Certainly grateful and thankful for all the hard work you put in every single day on this. So that's the first thing. I mean, football is a game, right? We get passionate about it, and we're all going to be fired come late Friday night. We're going to have some emotions one way or another, but this time of year helps you really center things and focus on what's really important. So first and foremost, miles above everything else, just thankful for the great people that have helped make us what we are.
And on that similar note, Always Something University, the content that we talk about, as you mentioned, we've been doing this for 15 years, and there's never really been a dull moment. There's been good football, there's been terrible football, there's been middling football, but there's always something happening with this this lovely football program that we have been covering for so long, for nearly 1,000 hours of content, and we're never lacking for anything to talk about. And thankfully, these last couple of years have been very and kind of a nice, refreshing change after the two prior to that. So just really appreciative that this is a program that's never boring. That in kind of what you said, people are passionate about this. They keep coming back and want to talk and hear Sun Devil talk and insights and analysis and interviews. And so it's been really great to have that ability to just always have something Sun Devil related to talk about on the show.
There you go. And I'm thankful for things being in a positive direction. I'm thankful for the fact that, man, and I'm guilty of this, having complaints about an 8-win season so far. Man, you take it not too far back in time, and 8 wins was really like a legitimate peak for this program. I mean, that was like a very good year. So, taking a step back and get a little perspective and priorities and things like that. But there's more to be on the table. When performance improves, the expectations increase, and that's a good thing in every walk of life.
All right, my last thing is just talking about how grateful I am, and so many of the folks on the ASU beat are, for ASU's media access. Because while we get to talk to players and Kenny on a daily basis and assistant coaches, that's really kind of an aberration when you look nationally in terms of the FBS level. So many programs lock everything down. You might get a coach once a week. You might get a player or two that they select. But day in, day out, Doug Tamero and his staff, Jeremy Hawks, Connor Smith, especially, have been so accommodating over the years. That's why we've had a couple hundred player interviews on the show just this year. I keep a spreadsheet of all. We've had over 1,500 total interviews over the course of the show. Just so players are able to come on the show, coaches. Just that access is truly great, and I think they understand the value of media, and in turn, you the fans get a greater understanding and appreciation for who you're cheering on, why, the storylines that are going on, and really kind of the people, the most important aspect of what makes this Sun Devil football program. All right, Joe, and on our show, when after our in-depth game preview, we made our score predictions. We actually had a different team winning each. Now that a couple days later, we have the injury report, even though it wasn't too dramatic as in recent weeks. But after some time to reflect, you standing pat or changing it up?
And one other thing to add is that since our main show, college football playoff rankings have come out, so this will be a match of ranked teams in that regard: 25 for Arizona, 20 for ASU. And I thought that was pretty fortuitous there. So I went 31-20 Arizona, which is, pretty off-brand for me. But I'm going to stick with that because the reasons that led me to that just haven't changed over the last few days. There's no injury matters, that greatly affect that. For me, it's largely about how does ASU start this game? How does the first quarter shake out? Because I've said it before, but if ASU doesn't shake those first quarter issues, I feel like they're going to be in like a 2-score hole to start the second quarter. They're going to have to start passing the ball more than they probably should. Might get some turnovers. Things can spiral in that direction. I can certainly see an outcome where ASU plays to its ability and wins this game, and does so not with ease, but just in a way that's not a true nail biter. But until I see the things on the field, I'm going to stick with what I predicted.
I too am going to stand pat. I had 19-17 ASU because I think this is going to be just another rock fight. These are two extremely good defenses and that are playing at a high level. I think overall our U of A has been playing better football in recent weeks, but ASU, of course, riding a 3-game win streak, is just finding a way, sloppy or otherwise, and to get it done. There's no such thing necessarily as an ugly road win, and that kind of has been the case since Jeff Sims took over. But I think ASU being at home is going to be the difference, swinging that pendulum to the Sun Devils' way to get the Cup another year in Tempe. And as we close out here on the Untimed Down, here's a conversation I had with ASU wide receivers coach Hines Ward.
Jordan back in the mix. What was your takeaway just with how he played and also the rest of the receiver room as well?
It was just good just to have him back, man. I know he was itching at the bit to get back out there. I just had to be smart with him as far as, counting his reps, halftime. How many plays he got? Yeah, like 19. And it's like, all right, save him a little bit, maybe in the fourth quarter, play him. So you're always just trying to, and it's hard. I say, listen, I know JT, he's in the game. He doesn't want to come out. He shakes his head. I said, "No, bro, we're not doing that. You got, I gotta help you. You gotta help me help you. not hurt yourself. But I was pleased the way he handled everything. I tried to just bring him in on situational third downs and red zones, and then give him a couple plays on first and second down. And now it's just acclimating, building up the reps. Out here he took 4 straight plays, starting to get his conditioning back. But anytime, JT's out on the field, man, you got a chance to win games. As far as the other wideouts, man, I just love how they just stepped up their play, taking advantage of their opportunities when JT was out. And I think overall as a group, we've evolved. We've gotten better. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's who we are. That's what we're about. Kenny's always preaching about being the best version of yourself each and every day. And these guys live by that. That is their testament. Every time they come on this practice field, I want them to get better, as an individual, as a person, as well as a football player. And that's pretty much our goal all season long.
Kenny talked about Jordan's pregame speech, and Jordan said he took it upon himself to grow as a vocal leader, especially being out, going through adversity yet again, and making it about the team rather than himself. What did you see from that pregame speech, and what does that say about him?
I wasn't out in the locker room. I was out looking at Ralphie, the Buffalo. But, Jordan's just a leader in his own way. I think he gains some respect, and I think, him by being injured, he's been out here each and every day supporting their guys, and it's actually good to see him coaching. Kind of sounds like me, so I'm rubbing off on him in the right way. But he's been a joy to work with, man. When I got here, you saw the talents, and now it's just honing into the techniques and fundamentals. So, hopefully he can go out with a bang, have an amazing senior night for the seniors that are on our team, and help us win this game. It's going to be a tough one. Arizona's good, and they got some players playing at a high level right now. I just want us to just go out there and to be the best version of ourselves, and if we can do that, we'll have a good chance to win this game.
You were part of the most intense rivalry in football for a number of years,
yes.
And now that you have one of the Territorial Cup games under your belt, now how does that kind of maybe compare a little bit?
I try not to compare things, but it's a genuine kind of dislike for one another. There's respect factor because a lot of these kids know each other, been recruited by the same teams, and everybody always feels slighted because, you didn't recruit me. So that's where the hatred comes in. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's more bragging rights for those kids. So it's going to be a tough one, but we feel good playing at home. Our home crowd, the crowd at home has been phenomenal, been awesome, and we feed off the energy. The crowd is into it. We have some exciting games in the last 2 years, so I expect the same. It'll be an exciting game. Hopefully we can go out and take care of business and send these seniors out on the right way.
Jordan said yesterday this is the most at peace he's ever felt in his entire life, and he largely credited that to his faith, his walk with the Lord, and he said you've been one of the guiding factors in that this past season. Have you seen kind of a change in his approach now that he's kind of tapped into his faith a little bit more?
Yeah, it's good. My whole goal is to try to get the man right. If I can get the man right doing all the little things, then everything else should take care of itself. And just, his maturity level, his approach to the game, and now you're starting to see he's just having fun. He's enjoyed being a college student. He's playing at the high level. He's executing, knows all the technique and fundamentals. Now he just wants to do whatever it takes to help this team win ball games. Will he go to the next level and thrive? He's going to have a phenomenal NFL career, but he wants to finish out, on a good note and close this chapter of his life. And he's worked his tail off to get back. He didn't have to play in these games. So that just shows you a testament of who he is, his loyalty to his brothers. He wants to go out, because it all started back in January. When he went down with the injury, broken collarbone, that was his fuel to the fire. And now he's coming to the end. He wants to go out and finish on a good note. And hopefully, like I said, we can win this game and we can close the chapter and just watch him do his thing at the next level.
Arizona's defense is playing at an extremely high level, especially the pass defense, the second in the country in opponent passer rating. What kind of jumps out about what makes them so effective?
They're creating turnovers, and that's something I think we weren't very good at in the last game. So, ball security, taking care of the football. Anytime you can take care of the football, it gives you an opportunity to win ball games. We got to do a better job than we did last week. Because this team has got some firepower on offense. So we can't give them the short field or lose a possession because we turn the football over. Like I said, we take care of business on that end. We should have a chance to at least be in the game and put ourselves in position to try to win this game.
Jordan talked about how the faith, specifically in the wide receiver room, but the entire team, is something that they talk about every single day.
Yeah.
Bible study, him getting baptized along with Derek. Said Jalen Moss has gotten involved as well. How have you seen that trickle down?
I mean, when the head dog is doing that, everybody wants to follow suit. They want to do whatever JT does, and I think it's infectious. He's probably not the most vocal guy, so when he talks, everyone listens. I think he's kind of leads by example. The way he lives his life, the way he goes about his business each and every day. As a young player like Corey Butler and Harry Hassman and all the guys, you look at that and be like, okay, I want to follow suit. I want to do what he does. So I think he's just a great role model for all of our entire room. This is how you go about doing it. This is the approach that you do. So it's a great learning lesson for our young guys. To truly get to where you want to go, you have to take the necessary steps, and you have to understand there's a process. JT didn't start off this way, I can tell you that. But just to see where he was then and who he is now, man, as a coach, that's all you really ask for. Just to see the development, and that's the key. The key word is development, and that's what I pride myself on, and making these guys a better person, a better player than who they were when they first get here. By the time they end, I want to see growth. I want to see progress in those guys.
Semifinalists once again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on kind of the path to Canton?
Listen, my mom always told me only worry about the things you can control. Right now, my feet are here at ASU. My mind's on these wide outs. Hopefully, we can continue to go out on a high note and take this win with Arizona. But, of course, it's always a blessing being, considered for the Hall of Fame and semifinals. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's out of my control. It's not like I can strap it back up and get some more extra catches. It is what it is. And people are going to always have that debate, which is, fun, listening to it, But ultimately, at the end of the day, I've gotten everything I wanted out of football. I made decent money, had opportunity to win Super Bowls, MVP, Pro Bowls. I can't ask for anything more than that. I think any player, whatever, when I have a checklist, I think I've checked them all off. So Hall of Fame, if it ever happens, God's willing, whatever, that's like the cherry on top. But at the end of the day, I still got a pretty good Sunday.